Morning. My hair looks like I've been in a wind tunnel, or it's like an umbrella head or something. I don't even know what that means. It's a mess, y'all. I roll out of bed, I spray it with water, and I keep it moving. Nature styles it. Okay. It's Friday, finally. It's craziness. Face Your Fears Friday. I just want to talk about fears a little tiny bit today because I want to talk about something else. I was going to come on live but like on my way home, but it was like pouring down rain at the time, so I tried to send a message to say, okay, I'm not going to come on live this evening, but I had such a wonderful topic based on some things that I've been hearing throughout the day. So I was like, I'll just save that. So I'm going to talk about it today. But the note on fear. So every Friday I talk about facing your fears. And every Friday my advice is the same. Make a list of your fears. And once you write out a list of all the things that are terrifying you right now, like the things that you're actually afraid of right now to do, or to, whatever it is, to make that phone call, whatever it is that you're afraid of, write that down in one single place on paper. You have to do it on paper. And as soon as you're done writing as many things you can think of that scare you, turn that into your to-do list. This is terrifying. This is a really terrifying activity the first time you do it, because it feels like so much resistance comes up for you, right? Like it's uncomfortable. And you start out with this list of things that you honestly do not want to do. Like if you had it your way, you would not ever do these things. But it's on this list now. You've written it down. Now it exists, and you need to make it your to-do list. Don't cheat yourself on this. This is not something you're turning in for a grade. Don't cheat yourself. Write them all down. Even if you do not intend to do them, just write them down. And decide that, put the list somewhere where you can see it. Bathroom mirror, notebook, whatever it is that you look in every day. Mine is in my planner or on my desk at work. And just put it where you can see it. Hey, Mona, good morning. Talking about your fears list. Again, every Friday I'm talking about the fears list. So write down the things. Just purge from your brain all the things, all the ideas that are making you uncomfortable. All the ideas that, you really honestly are like, I have no intention of doing this. I have no intention of calling this person. I have no intention of making this video. I have no intention of buying this thing. Whatever it is that you're afraid of doing, write it on this list. Once it's on paper, it's real. You can look at it, and there's actually an emotional release by getting it out on paper. Because when it's in your brain, it's just stuck in your head, and you're constantly thinking about it and trying to push it away. It's always there haunting you. Get it out, put it on paper, take a good hard look at it, and just know that like this list of things that are causing me to be afraid and to play it small in my life has no power over me. Like this list, these words on this page are not in charge of my life any longer. Like this has no power over me. Now I'll tell you, the first time you make a fears list, you do not have to have an intention of completing any single thing on that list. Like you do not have to be like, I'm gonna tackle this list. No, all you have to do is write it down. Hey Diane, you don't have to actually feel like you wanna do the things. But once you write it down, you start looking at them, and you put it someplace you can see it every day. You'll look at it and look at it and look at it, and then one day you'll be like, you know what? I'm tired of looking at this. I can do this thing. This one thing on the list, I could probably do that. And what happens is, once you make that fears list, your to-do list, and you actually do something off that list, the magic that happens, not just the magic that happens in your life, because you will have magic happen that helps you get that thing done, but something magical will happen that makes that thing not so scary. Not scary at all. Like, you just try it a little bit, and it's like God, the universe, it just helps you to finish the thing and make it painless and quick and easy. You know, that phone call that you've been putting off, that you feel like, oh, I'm not going to ever call my sister-in-law because we had that one big fight, you know, and it was horrible. And or I've had family members who haven't spoken in decades, and it's like, you know, sisters who haven't spoken in like 20 years, 30 years. And I'm like, how do you even remember what you're still mad about, you know? But you call the person, and to your surprise, the person is like, oh my gosh, I wanted to call you. I wanted to tell you this thing. Like, I was just about to call you too and break the ice, right? Like, that's how things come together. Now, I've had personal experience where I've decided, like in the past, I've decided myself that I was going to make peace with someone. Right? I'm like, I'm going to call this person, and I'm going to be the bigger person. I'm going to make peace with this person. And the person is like not receptive to it, or has a really bad attitude. So that makes me afraid to try that again. And in some cases, it makes me feel like it's not necessary. So things like that are not on my fears list. Like, I have people that I don't have a wonderful relationship with, and I'm okay with that. That's not on my fears list. Like, I'm not, you know, feeling uneasy about talking to that person. I can be in the same room with that person. I've forgiven myself. I've forgiven that person. And that's not an issue for me. But if you have somebody, and that sometimes that's healthy, because sometimes we have people in our lives who bring toxic energy, who actually, you know, are not a good, it's not good for them to be in our lives. And it's okay to be around that person, you know, at family gatherings and things like that. But to have bring them close into your life and to talk to them on the phone and stuff like that, it may not be a good idea. So that comes with a little bit of maturity. You have to kind of realize, okay, this is a good relationship, this is a toxic relationship. I can't, you know, it's self-preservation. Like, I can't, you know, like, my well-being can't be sacrificed just to keep a relationship with someone who is like related to me, right? That you have to decide where you're going to take care of yourself and where you're going to take care of somebody else's feelings. So that's not what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not telling you, you know, there's some toxic relationship, like, you know, your dad was abusive, and put him on your list and call him and go visit him. No, that's not what I'm saying. Not at all. I'm saying to keep those relationships that need to be, you know, with the boundaries, keep those. But if there is something on your heart that is like, if this person died tomorrow, would you feel like, dang, I should have called, but I'm afraid to call because I don't know what they're going to say? That goes on your fears list. And that's the kind of conversation that you should have, because that tells the universe. I like to say the universe, because I don't know. I don't like to always say God this, God this, God that, because I'm not like a Bible. I'm not trying to thump you with the Bible. That's not what I'm doing. I want to tell you the way the world works is that when you step outside of your comfort zone and you decide to do something that is like a little bit uncomfortable, it just shows God and the universe and everything that you are actually serious. You are actually serious about making things better in your life. You're actually serious about changing your life. It is easy to, so if I say I want to change my life and I want to do that by starting a business, okay, well, it's easy for me to sit down and like pick out brand colors and get a nice little logo and make printables and set up an Etsy shop and make it cute. Like, oh, that's so much fun. Do these free webinars and take all these courses, and oh my goodness, this is so much fun. That's not showing God you're ready to change your life. That's showing God that, okay, you are ready to add more complications into your experience, you know, just add more. It's like cluttering. I'm just cluttering my life with more things. But the true thing that you need to handle is that thing that you're trying to push off in the corner and say like, you know, I have this tax situation. I don't want to deal with that. Let me just work on like pretty logos and fonts. Like, I don't want to deal with this, you know, bill that I have. I don't want to deal with that. So when you start dealing with those things, those cobwebs underneath the bed and those elephants in the corner, that's when the universe perks up and says, oh, looks like she's ready. She's serious about this now. Okay, how can we help you today? You know, and then suddenly that thing that you're afraid to do is like 10 times easier than you thought it would be, which is amazing. And your fears list shrinks. So, okay, the first time is super hard. Actually, the first place I ever heard about this is in Michelle Rohr. She has a Secret Out Society, and her Secret Out Society Etsy shop has one product in it. It's called the Ultimate Life Binder. Hi, Auntie. Somebody's listening from Ghana today. I don't know how with the time difference. It might be afternoon there. Afternoon, almost evening in Ghana. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. So in the Ultimate Life Binder, it's like a collection of printables that help you get your life together. And one of them is a fears list. And I didn't know how to use it. I was just kind of like, I mean, she explains how to use it, but I was like, I'm not even going to try to think about what I'm afraid to do. I was just trying to get my entire life together. But now when I look back at it, you have that fears list, and then she has a column where you say, okay, this is how I'm going to tackle this fear. And then as I got to know Michelle more, she was constantly like, I'm constantly telling you to make a fears list and make it your to-do list. She was always saying that. I made my fears list my to-do list, and I just started getting things done, and everything opened up in my life. And now she is amazingly financially independent. Her husband was able to quit his job earlier this year. They have a baby. They live where they want to live. I mean, it's just like, you don't have to work so hard. And that's the message I want to give you, is that we are all working so hard. Some of us think it's a good thing. We're like, oh, I'm working so hard. I'm just doing so much. I'm so busy. That's not a good thing. So we're working, we're doing all this effort. You know, Abraham Hicks calls it efforting. Like, effort is a verb. You know, you're efforting. You're doing all this human effort, all this stuff that you think you have to do to be successful. You got to get up early. You got to do all these things. You got to go to work 8 hours. You got to come home. You got to cook everything. You got to do all these things. Stay up late. You don't have to do all that. You don't have to do all of the activities. You have to do the activities that matter. And here's a Bible verse for you. I don't often give you Bible verse. Sometimes I give you biblical stories because I love biblical stories. But here's a Bible verse for you. Everybody knows this one, right? Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added to you. So you are trying to do all the things yourself in your human capacity, in your human power. You're coming up against all these roadblocks. Everywhere you turn, there's a roadblock, there's a speed bump, there's a red flag. You got to go back and do this over because you didn't fill out the form right. You got to go over here. You got to mail it. It's all so stressful because you're doing it in your human capacity. You're not even asking for the help, the spiritual help, the help from the maker of the entire universe. The maker of the universe is sitting here waiting for you to ask for help. But instead, we're trying to do it ourselves. So what happens? You make this list of things that you're afraid to do. That's all you have to do. You do those things. You do the things that are important to God. Those things that are like, these are the things that are touching you in the most emotional place. These are the things that make your teeth chatter. I was doing something for my fears list the other day, 2 weeks ago on a Friday, and I literally had my teeth chattering. And it was funny, like when I realized it, I started laughing, and I was like, I have to remember to tell them that this is what happened. I was like on the phone with the IRS, and the lady was telling me some stuff, and I was like, I realized that I was like shaking. I was shaking. And this is what gets God's attention. It gets God's attention when that emotion is there so strong, when your desires are there and there's emotion attached to it. That's the language of the universe. So you do these things that are important to God, that make you a better person, because everything else is just efforting. If you're not doing something that's making you a better person, you're just doing busy work as far as God is concerned. It's like, okay, here she is again. She's, collecting this and doing that and drawing this and making this plan, but whatever, if God's not involved in the plan is not worth anything. It's not going anywhere. So you do the things that are important, spiritually important. Next thing you know, the way, like, getting those things done is easier. And then all these other things are easier too. Everything's easier. You get all the green lights on the way to work. You know, you're early. Everything just becomes easier because you're doing the things that are important. And it's like, how is this possible? You know, I used to work 10 times harder than this. Yes, house cleaning is not important. Oh, I could do a whole show on that. Yeah, but we used to do all these things, right? And just all this effort. And it's like, how is this possible that I used to work 10 times harder than I work now and get nothing done? I felt like I was spinning my wheels all the time. But now that I've just sat back to relax and do the things that are important to God, the things that I listen to myself. So I sit still, I get my mind quiet, and I listen to what's that thing that I'm afraid of. Just ask yourself. Your body has all the wisdom that you need. And so you ask yourself, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid to do right now? And then you start writing those things down. It's like, yeah, I know. I'm even afraid to write down that thing, you know. So we might have to talk about luxury next week because I'm like almost here. But yeah, so house cleaning. We'll talk about house cleaning. I have twins and they are about to be 4 years old. I spent the first half of 2019. So I started my business in January. I started like last April, but I didn't really get my feet under me, didn't really know what my product was, didn't really know what I was like, even the direction I was going in until like January when I made the budget diary. So because, you know, I'm a mom, my husband is in medical school like 6 hours drive away from us, so it was just basically me and the kids. And I have this full-time job, this long commute, you know, all this stuff I've told you guys over and over. On the weekends was like when I could work on my business. So I would get up super early in the morning and I would get some work done for like an hour and a half before work. And then I go to work and I come home and spend the evening with my kids. But on Saturdays and Sundays, I would either do something with the kids, or I try to sit at my desk and like get all this work done at one time. But what I would do, if I sat down to work on my business, I couldn't focus unless the house was clean. And the reason was that it was almost like a guilt thing, right? Like, I can't sit down and do this luxury of starting a business until all of my work is done. And this is also a conditioning from childhood, right? Like, first you work, then you play. And so I would I'd have to get the dishes done. I'd have to clean off the counters and vacuum, you know, all the stuff, do all the laundry, and then I could sit down and work on my business. Like, that was my self-inflicted like punishment and reward. And what I realized was that sometimes the housework would take up a whole day. And I wouldn't be able to work on my business. Maybe I'd start working on it like 8 p.m. and then I'd stay up all night on Saturday and work on it on Sunday. And it was not good for my health. So about halfway through the year, I realized that what am I calling a priority, right? What is the priority? What's the most important thing? Keeping the house clean or getting the business off the ground? And this is the conclusion I came to. I was working so hard, but I was getting nowhere. I was spinning my wheels trying to clean the house because I heard this quote, and this is exactly true. Trying to clean your house when you have toddlers is like trying to brush your teeth at the same time that you're eating Oreos. I would go to one room of the house, I get it cleaned. I go to another room of the house, and the kids would like gravitate towards the cleanest part of the house, completely trash it like tornadoes. So I'd clean up the bedroom, make all the beds, everything, vacuum, come into the living room, start cleaning up the living room, hear some crazy noise in the bedroom, go in the bedroom, they've jumped on the beds, they've pulled the covers off, they've spilled stuff, you know, toys and everything everywhere. They brought toys from a different room into the bedroom. It's just a disaster, right? And I'm like, what is going on? So I would spend a whole day repeating on myself and repeating on myself, because I go back to this one and I clean up and I go out here and I go, and then my daughter starts constantly changing. Like, she's in that stage where she constantly changes clothes. She wants to wear her princess dress, then she wants to wear her outlet costume, then she wants to wear, and so it's like you're constantly, and I was doing that over and over again until it was making me crazy. And when I realized, I heard Jim Rohn. I would listen to this Jim Rohn recording. I type a lot at work, so I listen to things in my ear, and I just, I'm just typing. It's not even like I'm thinking about it. I'm just kind of typing stuff. And so I'm listening to Jim Rohn in my ear, and he has this, if you look it up on YouTube, it's called Rare Talk, and I can link it in the comments because it's so good. I've listened to it like over 20 times. I had my husband listen to it. I play it in the house. It's so good. But he's not a Bible scholar, and he says, like, I'm an amateur on the Bible, but he breaks down the parable of the sower. Oh my goodness, y'all. Like, this is my anthem in my head. He breaks down the parable of the sower, talking about how you can sell things to people. This is the basics of it. But you can sell things to people, and that you may not get a sale because of all these different things. And he's relating it to Jesus's parable of the sower who had a good seed. Like, he had really good seed. But when he cast his seed, some fell on good ground, some fell on stony ground. The birds got some of it. Some of it started to sprout, but then the sun shined on it and it withered away. Like, he breaks down all of that. Y'all have to listen to that today, okay? Please, take your lunch break, whatever you have to do, listen to that story in this recording called Rare Talk by Jim Rohn. And one part of that got me in my heart, is when he's talking about the sower. He kept on sowing. He just kept on sowing. Like, all this stuff would happen and he just kept going. And he said that he cast the seed, and it was choked out by these little cares. That's what he kept saying. Little cares. It choked out the seed. And he said, you know what these little cares are. He says, little cares, things around the house you have to do. He says, you invite someone to come listen to a seminar, like an invitation. I think he was a multi-level marketing guy, so he taught people how to, like Amway and stuff like that. So he said, you invite your neighbor to come to the seminar, and he's going to start his own part-time business, and you can make, he was making his side hustle income was the same as his full-time job income. So he was telling this guy, I make double my income by working part-time. So the guy was like, oh, I want to do that too. So he says, come on to the seminar. I'll teach you how you can make double your income on a part-time thing. So the guy comes to one meeting. The second meeting, the guy doesn't come. And he's like, hey, what happened to you? I thought you were going to come to the meeting. And the guy goes, well, I was going to come to the meeting, but the screen door was coming off the hinges. I had to stay home and fix the screen door. Right? He says, the trash was piling up behind the garage. You can't just let trash pile up behind your garage. You have to take care of that stuff. You have to keep your house up. You got to keep your house running. You got to keep everything in your house going. And that hit me so hard in my heart, because that's what I was doing. What's important? If this man is telling you that you work full-time, you work 8 hours a day. He's telling you in your free time, you can make as much money as you make in your full-time job, and you're talking about the screen doors falling off the hinges. That's what's your priority right now? And he says, what is your priority? And that hit me in my heart. I said, what is my priority? Is my priority getting this business off the ground, which can open up all sorts of opportunities? Or is my priority making up my bed 5 times a day, because every time I make it up, the kids come and jump on it? Washing the dishes. Have y'all noticed that when you wash the dishes, this happens in our house, wash the dishes, sink is totally empty, everything is fine. You turn around and lunchtime, sink full of dishes again. All the pots, all the pans, all the forks, the knives, the spoons, the bowls, the cups. I'm like, what the heck? I just finished washing the dishes. So you wash all those dishes, and guess what? It's dinner time. I was like, I'm so sick of washing dishes. And laundry. Laundry is one thing I always tell people. Laundry is my example, my metaphor for life, because laundry is connected in my mind to my in basket at work. Laundry is like email, right? Like work email, not fun email. Work email, they always has something for you to do, respond, or have to do, go to a meeting or something. As long as we are wearing clothes, the laundry is not done. Like, I was doing laundry every time I would like finish a load. We have what we call a dirty basket. It's like a little basket. I tell my kids, put your clothes in the dirty basket so they know to put it in the laundry basket. The laundry basket is always full. And if I get that laundry basket completely empty, guess what? We're wearing clothes, right? So I still have more to do. Like that term, a woman's work is never done. So true. It's never done. So if you say, okay, I'm going to work on my business as soon as my housework is done, baby, you ain't going to work on your business. You are not going to work on your business. So you have to decide, what is more important? Is it important for me to have a clean house, or is it important for me to actually do something that matters with my life? So this is what happens. You get to heaven, right? Now, I don't believe in this kind of version of heaven, but let's just say, because this is something we learn in childhood. You get to the pearly gates, right? St. Peter is there, and he's letting people into the pearly gates based on what they've accomplished with their life. Now, this kind of is biblical because Jesus also said, remember, there was a parable about the rich man who gave 1 talent to one servant, and 5 talents to this one, and 10 to this one. And when the rich man came back, he said, what did you do with them? And the guy who had the one was like, I buried it in the ground. Here's your 1 talent back. Yay, good for me. And the guy was like, no, fired, because he's like, you're supposed to make things multiply. You're supposed to make things better for me, not just take your talents and bury them in the ground. So you have talents within you. Diane, you have talents. Auntie Sandra, you have talents. Moni, you have talents within you, God-given talents that you have. And let's say you get to the pearly gates or whatever, let's say you get there and St. Peter is like, okay, what did you do with your talents? And you were like, well, I'm pretty darn good at making printables, but first, I kept my house clean. I kept all the dishes clean, and I did the laundry, and I made sure the floor was vacuumed. Okay, what'd you do with your talent? Well, I was busy cleaning my house, so once my house was clean, I kind of used my talent, but mostly I buried it in the ground. That ain't gonna cut it. That's not gonna cut it. It's like, that is not why God gave you these talents. What is your time worth? Your time on earth is very short. It's very short, and your time is worth more as far as using your God-given talents. Like, even now, like, I'm going to this job that I like, and I've been a doctor for over a decade, and I haven't been bad at it. It's just there's certain things about it that have changed that made me I'm not great at it because of like added things that they've added to being a doctor. But it's like, I'm here for about 11 hours out of my day is spent dedicated to this job. This is not using my talent. This is not me using my talent. So if I, die and go to the pearly gates and St. Peter is asking me, how did you spend your time on earth? And I'm like, well, I was being a doctor. Was that the talent that we gave you? No, that's kind of like what what it was expected of me to do. I could explain that away all day, but it's like, all I'm saying in a nutshell is that I buried my talent in the ground. And now that, the rich person was coming back to see how I done with the talent, how I invested my talent, I have nothing to show for it. And so we have to do better once we know better. Until then, until we quiet our minds and take an honest, good look at our life and what our talents actually are, we have to do the best we can. But shame on you if you actually know what your God-given talent is and it's something that you're afraid to go after. If it's something that you're afraid to go after, you cannot complain or wonder or ask where your blessings are in any other area of your life. If you have something on your fears list that's related to you becoming a better person, a smarter person, a stronger person, using your talents and your gifts more, you cannot sit around asking where your ideal husband is. Where's my husband? Where's this dream car? Where's my dream house? Where's this? Where's that? Because until what's important to God becomes important to you, what's important to you will not be important to God. How would he know that if he gave you everything you wanted, you wouldn't just feel the same way about it as you feel about everything else? harsh reality. Hard truths today on Face Your Fears Friday. Hard truths. So let yourself off the hook as far as house cleaning goes. I do. I do. We bought a house with a white carpet. And I think the kids were 7 months old at the time. They were about to start crawling. And we got a house with a white carpet. Okay, that carpet is not white anymore. It almost looks like camouflage. Do you think I care? I do not care. I do not care. Because, I have it cleaned, once a year or twice a year, something like that. But I'm not obsessing over constantly scrubbing the carpet until it's white again. No, because my kids are eating Oreos while brushing your teeth. I'm telling you, my kids they're human tornadoes. And so it's like, am I going to spend all my time doing something that is not at all related to my gifts? Now, if my gift was to be a gifted house cleaner, then that's one thing. But a lot of times we use chores as procrastination. Woo! My coffee is spilling all over the place. We use chores as procrastination, Diane. And we say, I can't get started on this project until I finish cleaning up the kitchen. Oh, it's time for me to make dinner. I can't get started on my project because now it's time for me to make dinner. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is procrastination. That was probably a lot of what was happening for me at the beginning too, was that I was also procrastinating about getting started. And that's fear. Procrastination is also fear. All these are all, together. All right. So, running into stuff. All right. So now, you know what? I'm going to go in here backwards because, why not? Not that I can even see. Your assignment today, should you choose to accept it, is to get out a piece of paper. It's important to do this on paper. This is, and not because I'm biased, but this is the magic happens. Hi, Carmelita. Hey, Christiana. The magic happens when you actually do this on paper. Get out a paper. This is your assignment every Friday. Every Friday I say the same thing. I want to know who's actually doing it. Post a picture. I'm going to post a picture of mine and you post a picture of yours. Write down what you're afraid of, what you're afraid to do. If you're late on this thing, watch the replay. Write down what you're afraid to do. Take a good long look at that list. Put a copy of it on your bathroom mirror. Put another copy of it in your notebook or your planner or whatever. And get to work. Make that your to-do list. Break it down into smaller steps. Try to tackle just one little tiny piece of it. See what happens. See the magic in your life. I want to know about it. People don't tell me. I want to know. So post in the comments or post on later videos comments. What happens when you face your fears? I just want to know the magic, the things that open up in your life just by facing your fears. And I can guarantee you it does. Amazing things happen. All your wishes come true, right? So, yeah, give it a shot. Have a wonderful Friday. Have an amazing weekend. I can't wait to tell you guys what I learned about luxury yesterday. It was crazy. I actually took notes. This is not one Post-it. This is like 4 Post-its all stuck together. Because at the time I thought I was just going to write one little note and I kept writing more and more notes. But I'll tell you guys what I found out about luxury. So I will see you on Monday for Magic Money Monday. There's also lots of epiphanies going on about money because I enrolled in the Dave Ramsey's Master Financial Coach training. So I can make it official that I will officially be a financial coach and get a lot of good confirmation on what I'm already thinking so far. I'm only on like lesson 3 and I'm already like, okay, good. This is what I was thinking. This is what I was doing. So now I can for sure have it ironed out in my head how to help you guys win with money. That's what we're going to do. So good things are going to happen in 2020. I'm already looking forward to 2020 because amazing things are going to happen. So have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend. Make your fears list. It's going to make your life entirely different. All right. Bye.